Whether you play singles or doubles, you're going to find yourself at the net at some point. For some people, volleying and the idea of volleying fills them with dread immediately, and others look at it like an opportunity to be in control of the point. No matter which one you are, we're going to cover a bunch of those details today. Welcome to today's Tennis 101, where we're going over volleys. So the first thing we're going to talk about when it comes to volleying is how to be ready to volley. Now, I'm not talking about the grip specifically because people can volley with other grips. The continental grip is ideal because it gives us access to both sides. But what I'm actually referring to is where we place our hands once we're at the net. Most people start off by volleying, making this mistake here where they'll sit the racket right in front of their body, dead center. What you should actually do is have the racket canted more towards your backhand side. Now, the reason why that is majority of your hitting surface is going to come on the backhand side when the ball comes to you. What I mean is, obviously, everything that's on my left side is my backhand, everything that's on my right side is my forehand. But the center is backhand as well because you can adjust your wrist to be able to control and cover everything on your body with a backhand. You can't do it with a forehand. The other thing is even some low reflex shots on your forehand side are going to quickly be hit as a backhand rather than flipping it around to hit a forehand. So you've got the middle, the left, and some of the right side that's on the backhand. So if you're looking at percentages, it makes more sense to be ready to hit with this side of the racket than to be ready to hit with this side of the racket or even. So the next thing that we're going to look at once we are at the net and getting ready to play is our ready position actually changes when we're at the baseline versus the net. Now, when I say changes, what I'm talking about primarily is the upper body, but we do change our split step a little bit. When you're playing the net versus the baseline, your upper body is going to be tilted more forward when you're playing the net and more upright when you're playing the baseline. The reason that is when you hit a ground stroke, your body needs to be able to rotate more to set your racket. When you play the volleying game, you don't need body rotation to set the racket. So you're going to be pretty much tilting your hips at most so that the racket stays in front. Because the tilt is the only thing that we need, that allows us to lean into the shot and also get our body weight over our toes, which makes it way easier to go towards the ball versus standing here and having to get your momentum moving on your own. The second thing is, as I said, the split step is going to be lower and a little bit more quick and explosive. Whereas at the baseline, we find ourselves kind of going up and down. The volleying split step is going to be from a lower position from the beginning. And we're going to actually bring ourselves down into splits versus going up and down. So if I'm here, I actually drop into my split versus going up and down and moving to the ball. Now, looking on the technical aspect of volleying, this is where most people get themselves in trouble. We've covered how to be ready. We've covered how to split. We've covered how to hold the racket. But none of that matters if you don't know how to actually strike the ball. So putting all that stuff together, the most important detail I can tell people when it comes to volleying is the volley is not a swung motion. It's not a punch like some veterans may be telling you. Whoever says that it needs to be a punch that has obviously never thrown a punch before. I've done competitive fighting and it feels nothing like that. When you volley, it should be more synonymous with catching, meaning you move your hand to where you think the ball is going to be and then you would just close your hand on the ball. If you're playing baseball, imagine somebody running for a catch in the outfield and they just extend their arm and then when the ball gets there, they bring it in tight. When you volley, it's the same motion. So if I hold my racket right here and I just meet the ball at contact, that's a volley. If I put my hand out to catch it, that's a volley. It's the same exact motion. Now there's footwork involved where you could step towards it, but the mechanics of it are moving to the ball, squeezing the racket tightly, holding it tight through contact, and then just directing the strings where you want the ball to go. Don't come in and get the idea of punching volleys back and forth like this. You don't need that. If you want power on volleys, just move your body more. So moving into a ball while keeping the technique the same is where you're going to get your power from. You can obviously open up your hands more if you want to take power off, but that would be still the same as catching the ball down here versus coming down here and doing that motion. The idea is to catch the ball, not to hit the ball. The main thing we want to do is make sure that our hands are in the right position, and that way we can watch the ball come in. A technical thing that I tell a lot of my students to do is line the edge of their racket, the inside edge, up with their eye. So if I was holding my racket center and I set it for a forehand, you can see that the racket kind of eclipses my eye here. and I want to hold it out there as I go for the catch. The reason that is I can see what the ball's doing. If the ball gets low, I can track it all the way to the racket. If the ball goes high, I can track to the racket. If the ball goes to the side, I don't want to stretch my arm out unless I have no time but to do that. I want to take my whole body and keep everything in line right there. Likewise for the backhand, setting the racket lined up with the eye and then keeping everything moving in the same position. On the backhand catch, it's the same thing. Obviously, you don't catch with the backside of your hand, but it's the same concept of find the ball, line it up, and then just apply pressure by squeezing. Anything you want to do in terms of direction is body movement and stepping towards the shot if you're given time. The pressure of the racket in your hand being held tight, plus the power of the ball coming at you, is enough to make the ball leave. If you want to do extra with the body, not with the hands. The last thing I'm going to add in is how to move as you're volleying. If you're given enough time, you want to have some type of forward momentum and then reset. Get yourself into what I call a movement cycle of getting yourself to a to, a from, and a back to. So if the ball was coming at me, I don't want to just move forward and volley and just stay there. Like, I don't want to go from here, set my hands, get close to the ball, get this close, and then again, move in again. Like, that's beneficial, but at a certain point, I run out of space to move forward. You want to get yourself into the shot and then back again so that you're ready to see what happens, and then you can move in another time. Body momentum is going to do most of the work, so you want to make sure that you don't add unnecessary components, which are going to add a higher chance of inconsistency. But that's going to wrap up today's video, guys. I hope it was helpful. If you know anybody would benefit from this, please send it off to them as always. Remember, when you're volleying, it's all about keeping your composure. Don't add in extra components that are going to make you have a higher chance of missing. It should feel like you're catching, not like you're swinging, not like you're slicing, not like you're punching. Just move your racket in the position you need to meet the ball, and just apply enough pressure based on the outcome you want. If you want the ball deeper, squeeze it tight. If you want the ball shorter, loosen up your grip. But that's about it. And then just get your legs moving to match your shot as consistently as possible. I hope this Tennis 101 was helpful. I'll see you guys in the next one.